And to usher your way into the Jeff Cameron Show settings, and that's a good thing. It's good to be back tomorrow. Speaking of back, Florida State will be on the practice fields, full pads. Yours truly will be there, War Chant in attendance, and getting excited about what we're going to watch. Of course, hopefully we see, again, continued intense competition and excitement. I'm sure we will. I'll get to that momentarily. We've got a lot to catch up on. I haven't talked about Boyd Tom in a while. Let's welcome him in. Hello, brother. How are you? Good?
I'm hanging in there, man. I'm going to sound a little gravelly today, but we're going to fight through it. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. We got your internet's fighting right now, too. You're kind of going in and out. We're going to have to get you. Is he good in there? We're good in there? Yeah, a little shaky. We're trying to get it fixed. I'm good. I'm hanging in. I'll do this. Did you all bet the unders? I'm really hoping you bet the unders. Listen, so I've got a kind of a catch-22 here on the tournament. I think you have to start with the NCAA tournament. And one of the reasons that I bring this up is that going into the NCAA tournament, for me anyhow, probably the most or the least amount of enthusiasm for the tournament that I've had in some time, which is strange. And because I love the tournament. Who doesn't love the tournament? I mean, everybody loves the tournament, right? The tournament is fun. And this tournament has been fun. Not exactly well played. And one of the things that I kind of got ruined by, and Tom knows this, I've talked about this before. My oldest son has really gotten into basketball. And because he has, I've watched a ton of basketball with him. And he loves Terrence Mann. His passion for basketball happened when he was going to Florida State basketball games, and he just loved the way that Terrence Mann played. And I thought, man, he's got great taste because Terrence Mann was so fun to watch. He did all the subtle things. He did all the things that not everybody noticed. He wasn't a prolific rebounder, a prolific scorer, a prolific assist guy. He wasn't a prolific, but he did all the things really well. And he was kind of the glue to the team. And then what ended up happening was, from there, when Mann went to the Clippers, he dove into the NBA. And I've had various stages in my life where I'm all in on the NBA or I'm bored by the NBA, or I'm all in on the NBA or I'm bored by the NBA. And right now, they have more superstars in that league than they've had in a long time, and the game is played at a real high level. So when you watch that, if you watch it on a nightly basis like I do with him, open shots get made, guys. Open shots get made. You leave a guy open, it's going in. If that's a good look from three, it's going in. And you see these things, and I think, all right, well, when I went back to college basketball, it felt like nobody could make a shot. Nobody can make a shot. Now, a few years ago, Tom, you may remember this. We had that year where you and I talked at length about nobody was making shots and the game seemed poor, wasn't well played. I felt that way this year. But let me, this is kind of amazing. Did you know? And I said, I hope you bet the unders. Or shooting is a big part of this tournament. One of the days, if you go back to it, the unders went 14-2. Went on to go 30-10. First round was 24-8 to the under. 3-point shooting, don't even bother, fellas. Since the three-point line was added in 87, it's the worst three-point shooting percentage in the first two rounds of the tournament ever. Ever. They're making 31% of their threes. It's abysmal. Nobody can shoot. Now, you marry that with what's happened to me in my falling back into the NBA. It's like, good God, I'm watching five dudes at the Y. This is awful. I can't, and yet I know the suspense and the upsets are what everybody loves, and I get it, and I love that too. And that's the other part of what makes this fun, because perhaps offsetting the atrocious level of play in the tournament is the fact that you get crazy upsets yet again. Until 2021, guys, only one 15-seeded ever made the Sweet 16. Now it's happened 3 years in a row. It's as unpredictable as it gets. Were you even shocked that a 16 beat a 1? That's technically, again, the biggest upset in tournament history. But there you have it. Just 2 1 seeds are left, and one side, just 2 2 seeds are left. The Big Ten sucked again. That was good to see. I think the shocking thing for me was watching Princeton wire to wire, never in doubt against Mizzou, wide open looks the whole time. There are a lot of numbers here that kind of, you scratch your head a little bit. The ACC's down, not real good, held up by Miami, who really played very well in the second half of that game after they stopped the Indiana run late last night. If they hadn't, goodbye ACC. It's just fascinating. The tournament, the upsets are fun. I love it. I just hope you bet like hell like I did with the unders. Just bank on poor shooting.
Well, I think it's something that you want to watch the second half, and hopefully the connection's fine. But the second halves are interesting. Like, I'll point to one specifically. Penn State and Texas on Saturday. Penn State and Texas first half was exactly what you're describing about 5 dudes on each side of the Y who can't hit the broadside of a barn. About 10 minutes into that game, they're on pace for an 85-point total between the two teams.
I know.
85 points. But then in the second half, they almost backdoor covered the over. It was a very interesting second half to watch. But what I was finding was as these 4 days were moving forward, that noon to 3 p.m. window where there's like one game at a time, not for me. That night window when you've got 4 games going on at once, that's where it's at.
The Friday night, Tom, was incredible.
Yep.
The Friday night was the whole thing. I thought that Friday night I was blown away. What was going on that night? I had the iPad up, I had the computer up, I had the TV up. We had it all going. I loved it. It was good. I wish there was a definitive way with which to talk about how it is that it feels like shooting. Well, I used the stat already, but it feels like shooting is way down.
Yeah.
And, wow, they set a record for futility from beyond the arc.
Well, I think what's going on is you're generating open looks from 3. Nobody knows how to hit a runner or a mid-range jumper anymore. Like, how many runners did you see go off the back iron this weekend? It's just there's no middle ground, quite literally, on the court. And so if you're not hitting your threes, again, I'll use Penn State as an example. They could not miss. They could not miss night 1 of the tournament against Texas A&M. It was a joy to watch. Generated open looks. I think they averaged 7 or 8 threes per game for the year. They had it at the half, and it just kept on going and going. Arizona State did the same thing in the first 4. That first night, they could not miss. And these offenses are designed to generate fouls and foul shots and then open threes. But if you don't hit open threes, it's like nobody else has any other place to go. For example, I was looking at some advanced metrics, maybe to place a wager or two when I was in a state that would allow that legally. And they go through play types between jump shots, pick and roll, cuts to the basket, post up, things like that. Every offense is jump shooting and the pick and roll with the point guard. There is no post. There is no post. It is rare to find a team that runs post plays anywhere over 8% of their possessions, which is just crazy compared to 20, 30 years ago. And I think that's why if you're not making your shots, they're not coming from anywhere. There's no other place to go offensively.
The Big Ten and the Big 12 were both bad in this tournament. The Big Ten got 8 teams into the tournament, only number 7 seed Michigan State. Go figure. Imagine that. Izzo is still standing after 2 rounds. 69-60 over Marquette in the East Regional. The Big Ten is currently 6-7 in their games. Number 1 Purdue, number 4 Indiana, losing to lower seeds, offset by Michigan State, and 10 seed Penn State beating higher seeds. The Big 12, worst performance, and I thought they were great all year. They had 7 teams in the field, including 4 teams with top 3 seeds: Kansas, Texas, Baylor, and K-State. The other 3 teams seeded at 6, Iowa State, TCU, and number 9 West Virginia. Only number 2 seed Texas and number 3 seed K-State advanced to the Sweet 16. Kansas, Baylor, Iowa State all lost to lower seeds. Conference just barely over 500 in the tournament. It's been interesting. Good for Princeton, by the way, because that was a wire-to-wire job, and I'm sure Gates is stinging right now. But they go to the Sweet 16, first Ivy League school to do it since 2010. Ivy League hasn't made it to an Elite 8 since Penn did it in 1979. They got blown out 101-67 when they did get there. But just so you know, that's there have been some things that are fun to watch. Of course, I'm going to watch the cheaters of the world, and that's everybody that plays college basketball. But number 1 seed Kansas high on my list of those that, 2 fingers to my eyes, why weren't we talking about this last year? Investigated FBI findings all on down the list, and you hear people, oh, it's shocking they got beat. It's terrible. I heard one guy, it's terrible for the tournament that the defending national champions. What? Stop it. Also, not surprising. And I wonder, I don't know how long, Tom, it's a little bit like when the Bucks won the Super Bowl in 2002. We gave the Bucks, I think you and I gave them like a decade.
Yep, 10 years, 100%.
We gave them like a good 10 years. Where we were like, okay, you did win the Super Bowl. And I remember it was like 2008, 2009, and we were still going, well, they did just win the Super Bowl. And at some point, well, they didn't just win the Super Bowl. It's been almost 10 years. They didn't just win the Super Bowl. Why do I bring it up? I bring it up with Bennett and Virginia. That is not watchable basketball, and it allows for bad teams who have no business being in the game to be in the game. That said, how does that kid make that decision to just, whee? He's been there 20 years. When I saw it was him and they said his name, I went, that kid's been there for as long as I've been doing radio. How in the world are you going to just, with a timeout in your back pocket? How are you just, woohoo?
Buddy, it looked like Tate Rodemaker's first pass in college football. Like the entire time, you're like, you're not doing that. There's no way you're doing that.
You're not. Yeah.
If he thought that maybe there was a second and a half left and he's just trying to kill time.
The Bob Knight challenge, baby.
The Bob Knight special, then sure. But there's way too much time. You would know that on the pass. You have a timeout. You have a timeout.
That's timeout in your back pocket. It's impossible.
Oh, buddy. That was unbelievable.
I was shocked by it. I was also thrilled by it because you can watch it play out in slow motion. Is there anything cooler than seeing the ball go up in the air? Obviously, it's going to be a turnover. You got to give the Furman kids credit. It's a catch, release, fire in rhythm, suck it, have a good one. We're done here. And you could see the look on Virginia's players' faces as the ball was in the air. Like, that's going in. We're going to lose on that. And the reason I bring up Bennett is, of course, he won the national championship. He was also the first to have that dubious honor of being a 1 seed, losing to a 16 seed. Everybody thought that he got the suck off of him with the win the following year. All of that washed away. Except for, I think it's 3 of the last 4 years I saw, a 16, a 13, and a 13. They're steady losing to teams they have no business losing to, like right off the bat. Well done, Briley. 34-14 this weekend. Were you on the unders, as I noted?
Did you have any bad beats? And did you have any of those epic bad beats? There was the Alabama game with the 3 at the end. There was last night.
The Gonzaga game.
Yeah, were you on either side of that?
No, I wasn't.
I had
you had a bad one.
One bad beat. It was the San Diego State College of Charleston game. And I had Charleston plus 5.5. Charleston drives down a basket. I think they were down 3 or 4 at the moment, but it was like a quick possession. They get hacked in the 5-12 game. The kid gets hacked, no call. Then the referees allow about 2 to 3 seconds off of San Diego State having the basketball to take off the clock before they call a foul with 0.6 to go. San Diego State makes both free throws to cover. They win by 6. That one was the only one that got me. But I saw the totals with the half court heaves.
Mm-hmm.
That was, oh man.
Some epically bad beats. Yeah, I think I sent you a funny one like, don't shoot the ball. Don't shoot the ball. Have some class here. There's no reason for you to shoot that ball. My man shoots the 3.
Well, he held it forever. That was the thing. That was He held it for a good 5 seconds, 6 seconds, and then he just decided, why not? I'll heave it up, like Dwayne Bacon once did at Cameron Indoor.
I'll never forget it, and how happy you were in that moment. By the way, with Miami winning for the ACC, it's a hell of a stretch for the ACC. It helped preserve the ACC streak of 43 straight NCAA tournaments with at least one team making it to the Sweet 16. The last time they failed to do that, 1979, there were only 40 teams in the tournament back in 1979. So if you're an ACC fan and wave the flag, which none of us here are, you have Miami to thank for it. they made it to the Sweet 16 or the streak would have been snapped. Let's talk some football. Jeff Cameron Show 93.3 Real Talk Radio, War Chant TV.
Call Basic Brooks Law Offices, 777-7777.
Over 50 years ago, when Paul Nicholson founded Paul's Termite and Pest Control, he had one goal in mind: provide the best service possible to his neighbors so they felt like family. Your problem was his problem, so today it's our problem. Paul's service area is our home. It's where our kids go to school, where we shop, and where we get involved with community organizations. So if some out-of-town company knocks on your door and begins pressuring you to sign an agreement for termite or pest control, you can bet on a few things. Number one, you'll never see that person again. Number two, your technician is likely to change often. And number three, your money will not stay in North Florida. These companies are sending your money to home offices in Atlanta, Orlando, Salt Lake City, or even Great Britain. Paul's Termite and Pest Control knows local means something to you. The health of your Tallahassee home, family, and pets is our number one priority. For the elimination of termites and pests and a greener lawn too, call your local company with local solutions. Paul's Termite and Pest Control.
Let's be honest, we all have way too much stuff. Maybe your storage closet is full, your garage is full, or the guest bedroom is a mess. Call Southeast Portable Buildings, 580-6400, or visit them online at southeastportablebuildings.com.
The weather is unpredictable and can cause issues around your home. Weston Trawick provides commercial, residential, and industrial electrical wiring services, yearly inspections on fire alarms, portable generator sales, and so much more. With 24/7 emergency service and repair, Weston Trawick will be your calm in the storm. Give them a call at 514-0003. Weston Trawick, professional electrical services day or night. Visit online at westontrawick.com.
There's nothing like relaxing in a hot tub after a long day. But if you don't have one, you're truly missing out. Hot tubs and spas have tremendous health benefits, besides just helping you relax. Like improving your sleep, they help with pain relief. They help to better your cardiovascular health, and so much more. And this season is the perfect season to finally buy what you've been wishing for. Pinch a Penny Pool, Patio, and Spas has the hot tubs you need for the price you want. Come shop our huge 12,000 square foot showroom and save today. There's over 50 hot tubs in stock right now, so you won't have to wait weeks on end for that delivery to finally come to town. If you're ready to relax, we're here to show you how. Pinch a Penny Pool, Patios, and Spas. Come visit our huge showroom at 2473 Greer Road with over 50 hot tubs to choose from. You'll be glad you did.
Did you know that when you order food delivery through third parties like Uber Eats and Bite Squad, local restaurants lose up to 30% of their own revenue, and you're actually sending your money to corporate bank accounts in California? Well, now you can truly support our locally owned restaurants by ordering directly from foodiesdelivery.com. Choose from delicious options like El Jalisco, Smitty's Tap House, Hangar 38, Jerry's Cafe, and many more. We take pride in supporting local, and with foodiesdelivery.com, we can actually put our money where our mouth is. Order your next fresh meal today at foodiesdelivery.com.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the warchant.com multimedia.
a good Boston College team, but bigger problems still to decipher with that baseball team. I'll get to them in a little bit. I want to get back to football here for a second. The Unicorn, Destin Hill, will be apparently one day again, or for the first time, be on the roster. Not in spring, but it's going to happen, Tom. Did I see that over the weekend?
I guess, man. It's just, he probably should be. There's confidence that he will enroll versus, maybe that he could. I don't know. I haven't changed one bit in terms of my stance on that. It's if there's a press release from Florida State that says he's made it on campus, here's his height, here's his weight, here's the jersey number he's going to wear. It is at that point that I might believe that he's actually a real person in here on campus. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm not as concerned either. But if he is and he's fast and he's good, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
2 years ago when this whole fiasco started, we could use receivers. And now it's like, well, if he's here, he's here. If he's not, he's not. Who cares?
I know. I just want to do it for the chats.
Yeah.
Hey, guys, he's there. He's out there. He's standing around. How about that? He's a real person. So there's that. There is also the fact that Florida State's going to be taking on Georgia Tech in Ireland. And we had heard those whispers a while back. Weren't allowed to talk about it. And you and I had a discussion off the air, and I was telling you I was hearing it was Georgia Tech, and you'd heard a whisper that somebody had told you maybe it was also could be Notre Dame. And we were kind of going back and forth on that. I didn't care who, as long as it wasn't our home game. What I cared about was as long as it wasn't going to be our home game that was lost, and it's not. It's Georgia Tech's, and they are broke, so it stands to reason that that would be the situation that they were in. They'd give that away. I don't know if it's true. These days, people do things like they'll say, oh, so-and-so was angry about this, or there's a collective of people that are angry about this. And then you go, wait, what do you mean? What do you mean? People on Twitter? Because that's not people. That's a very small group of people that are on Twitter. That's not like a great sample size to say that people are pissed. But somebody tried to intimate that people were angry about this? I don't know about that. There's like 7 people on Twitter who are angry that Florida State's playing in Ireland in 2024 against Georgia Tech. There's no way that's a large group of people, right?
The only way that somebody would be justified to be angry about this situation is if it was yet another home game.
Right, that's it.
But it's not. It's Georgia Tech's home game. So what the hell do we care? It's perfect. This is wonderful. I can't wait to go.
Oh, exactly right. I can't wait to go, and I've already begun the process of making sure that me and the entire family go. Yeah, we're going. We're going. It's happening, period. But I kind of thought I wasn't going to give in to this false sort of descriptor that there was a large group. I haven't seen it. I don't know who they are. Who are those people? I don't think it's true. Who could be possible? Who could possibly? You mean I get to avoid driving to Atlanta and being stuck in traffic for days on end to go to that sorry-ass campus and that stadium to see that sorry-ass team? I get to go to Ireland instead and get paid large sums of money to do so, meaning that the university does? Yeah, I'm going. Let's go. This is going to kick ass. So, I don't know. That just had me on cloud 9 over the entirety of the weekend and in the few days that went by.
So how long are you going to stay in Ireland? Because if it's the 24th, there's obviously a bye the week after. So would you go early and stay after because there is a week off for Florida State? Would you go a long ways before in the lead up to the game and leave that Sunday? Like, how would you actually plan it out? Do you have that plan yet?
Yeah, I'm going to be there for 27 days. So the whole month will be, I mean, you guys, I'll make sure that I adapt to your time so that we're able to do videos and stuff like that together. But I'm going to be over there for 27 days. No, I won't be there 27 days. I've been to Dublin. I've been to Ireland, and I was there for just over 10 days, 10 and a half days. And did the whole thing. I rented a car out of Dublin, drove southwest all the way around, got to see the vast majority of that beautiful, beautiful isle. It was great. We had a great time. Boys have not been. It was 17 years ago that I've been. It was on my honeymoon, and I've always wanted to go back. But I don't know how extensive this can be, Tom, because of what you're talking about. We have work, man. We have things to do. Now, you're right. The off week could mean that you build it in to the post game. And I think that's probably the way that I'm going to do it. But for us as a working environment, we'll have to be there, a couple days before the game, couple days, maybe a day after the game to do wrap on it before everybody loads up or goes off to wherever it is they want to go.
Yeah, the fun thing will be is if and when we're out there and you've got a JCS, that will be a dinner time local. It'll be a dinner time show for us, even though it'll be a mid in the afternoon show for everybody back here stateside.
It won't suck, whatever it is. It's going to be awesome. We will be there. It is going to be a good time. I love Ireland. There are people who've traveled far more extensively than I have. I'm not an untraveled guy. I've been around, seen some things. I'd like to see a lot more. I love to travel. I think it's important for people to travel. But of the many places I've been, that is one of my very favorites, if not my favorite. I absolutely loved Ireland when we were there. And this is not going to suck, Tom. And I imagine we're going to get a round of golf in somewhere in Ireland.
Oh, look, man. Yeah, I'm bringing the sticks. The only thing we got to do is make sure that the corporate partnerships we need are in place to make this thing happen and happen in style. Because you can't go over there and not have a collection of Knowles get together to just look at each other and go, can you believe we're here?
Yeah, we'll do that. This? There's going to be a lot of that. Man, that's crazy. Somebody asked if I will smuggle Kerrygold back. No, I can go to Publix and get Kerrygold. It's right there. I just get Kerrygold right here. I've actually been to where they make Kerrygold and did the whole tour and the whole thing. It was a good time. I also remember that some of my favorite, just oddities of Ireland are the size and weird, I don't want to say skin, it's their hair of the cows. They've got the long hair cattle.
Yeah.
Crazy looking things. They're huge. They're awesome. I get to see them again too. They're always muddy because it just hangs down while they're eating. You're like, oh no. I'm
telling you that the one thing I had to get used to, I played in South England a couple of rounds of golf, and it's the noises. You're used to birds chirping, and sometimes very exotic birds, because we live in the state of Florida. You go down to the water, it's sheep. You hear sheep when you're over the ball, man, and you're like, where the hell am I? But that's, it's all farmland, so got to get used to all those little differences.
St. James Gate, where obviously that's the Guinness brewery. I was there. And I don't know if it'll work. I'll give it a try this time. Guys, I'll admit to this because 17 years ago I did it. When you get through the tour of St. James Gate and you get to the top, it's a wonderful view overlooking Dublin. And they'll you get 2 free Guinness when you get to the top of the brewery. And the tour itself is great. That building's ancient and, it's just pretty neat. And you learn a lot. You get to the top and they're like, oh, you've got this coin or ticket or whatever it is for your 2 free Guinness. Well, there's no way I'm flying all the way over to Ireland and going to St. James Gates and have 2 Guinness. You're not going to get a fresher Guinness than the one that was just made. So we went to the top, and I found the bribery rule is in place all over the world. It's the same. Look for a young person who needs money. They're all on the take. Every young person is for sale. That's the way it works. And by young, I mean like 21, 22. They haven't been around long enough to make any money. Walk over to them. They're behind the bar pouring the Guinness. There's a bunch of tourists everywhere. They're kind of annoyed. You pull a guy aside, you slide him $50, $25, whatever the equivalent. And you say, hey, man, my wife and I are over there. Just, the guy's like, cool. Don't come here. Don't come to me. I'm going to put them over on the side when I see you're low. Yes, you will. And because we were walking everywhere, I may have had 8. It doesn't. I might have. We were walking, Tom. We're walking. And it was good times. That guy got taken care of. I got all the Guinness I wanted. It was a good day. Good day indeed. There's nothing to add to that. I
believe that means you're in charge of this process again, because I can't screw it up.
I'll gladly be in charge. I'll take you to Galway, County Cork as well. I'll take you a lot of places. Good times. We're going. Anyhow, that too was noted over the spring break holiday that Florida State will be taking on Georgia Tech. And that's the other part, guys. I don't anticipate us falling to pieces between now and when we play Georgia Tech. So not only are you going to Ireland, you're going to Ireland to watch us beat the bejesus out of sorry-ass Georgia Tech. So you got a guaranteed win. You don't even have to walk around worried about the contest. A lot of times when you go to bowl games or you go to big contests like this LSU game we're going to over in Orlando, there's this fear, this kind of nervousness that's underlying everything you do when you're out and about on the town. You're seeing people. You're like, hey, good to see you, Johnny. Good to see you too, Bob. All right, hey. That within 2 minutes, somebody's bringing up, well, what do you think? What do you think? That's universal for everybody's going to weigh in on if we do this, we'll win. If we do that, we'll lose. If they do this, what do you do? What does it all mean? Everybody. That's where a conversation goes immediately when you're nervous about the game. Nobody's going to bring that up. In Ireland, they're going to go, what do you think? And they're going to point out at the rolling green hills and the table full of beer and the friends that are singing along with the musician at the front of the bar, and you're going to be, nobody's going to say, oh, the game. You're not talking about the game. What do I think? 66-7. There. Well, let's move it along here. There's nothing else to say. They stink. There's nothing left to say. We're going to run a rough shot. That's what I mean to say. So that's good. That's good. I have to talk about the actual football that is to be played starting tomorrow. We'll do that next. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, War Chant TV.
News now.
A pickup truck operated by a 75-year-old man of Crawfordville was traveling southbound on State Road 363, also known as Woodville Highway, Friday afternoon. An unoccupied semi was parked on the east shoulder. The pickup truck collided with the semi's right front. The pickup truck then traveled on the shoulder and collided with a wooden utility pole. The driver of the pickup truck was transported to Tallahassee Memorial Hospital, where he was pronounced deceased. Florida A&M University is the latest academic institution to ban TikTok on its campus. The college implemented the rule March 7th out of an abundance of caution for students and staff, stating the app is deemed a threat to national security and privacy use. The U.S. has threatened a nationwide ban of the short-form video application if its Chinese parent company, ByteDance, doesn't comply with the Biden administration's push for the business to divest. The new regulation from the university prohibits the app on desktops, laptops, tablets, iPads, cell phones, and network devices. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 Local News Update, brought to you by McLemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at McLemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Frobley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. High 58 this afternoon under mainly clear skies. Winds out of the north, 8 to 15 miles per hour. Clear skies tonight. Lows dip down to about 35. Mainly sunny skies and calm tomorrow. Highs level off around 71. Dry with temperatures a bit above average Wednesday and Thursday, and highs from the upper 70s to the low 80s. This report is brought to you by The Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 50.
We understand how important it is to have transportation you can rely on. So no matter what the road ahead brings, we'll be there, offering you and your family the support that's made Farm Bureau Insurance a trusted name for over 70 years. You deserve more. You deserve a promise. Learn more at ffbic.com.
This is Rusty Hunt with Florida Farm Bureau Insurance. Please call me today at 850-671-FARM. That's 671-FARM.
My man, Eddie.
Jeff, what's happening, dude?
Bears eating people all over the place. I read another article today. It's the third one in the last month of somebody getting mauled to death by a bear.
Man, bears have their own space. You got to let them have that.
You do. You got to stay clear of bears, is what you're saying?
Yes.
I got a question for you. Here you go. If you had to be mauled to death, eaten alive by any animal in the world, which would you choose to eat you alive?
Ooh, I think maybe I'd want, I don't know, longevity time, a mouse.
Just a slow burn.
Slow burn.
This thing just finished the pinking. It's been a month.
I could go to work. I could still do my thing. I could probably live 30 years.
I thought you were going to say great white because it'd be quick, or a grizzly. We went with mouse.
Yeah, mouse.
Okay. Mouse it is. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Welcome back to the Jeff Cameron Show, sponsored by Legendary Home Loans, a mortgage experience designed around speed, simplicity, and
How's the competition going to play out? what you're most excited to see. I was not at, as I mentioned before, the last practice before they went on break, that Friday full pad practice. Did not get a chance to see that. So I'm eager to see it now starting tomorrow. And really this begins a long stretch of practices that we'll all be watching closely because the competition is real, the talent is real, the depth is real, and it will go a long way in informing and providing context for us throughout the summer as we get set for fall camp as well. But knock on wood, everybody stays healthy this week and on through the rest of spring practice, and you're able to kind of get to the level of competition with everybody where they need to be health-wise. And I think, that's all anybody wishes for in the spring anyhow. Riley writes, any chance we could get some close observations of the safeties this week? Shaheem, Duke Cooper, Travis J, Dent. Going to be a big part of the difference between a good and potentially great season. I agree that the latter part of what you had to say there, I agree. Yeah, we'll be watching closely. Believe me, Riley, that anywhere where there is undecided position battles, we're watching intently. And that's a lot of places. Quarterback's not one of them. But everybody else, you're just excited to watch. Okay, let's see what happens. Let's see who's taking a step forward, who's gotten better. I think the thing that the 1 week could do before they had the break is it could serve as a signal to those who maybe didn't take it seriously or maybe didn't really realize they were involved in a position battle or a depth chart battle. Just getting a glimpse of what that was will have awakened many a man on the offensive and defensive line, don't you think? I mean, because that's where you've got potential 4 out of 5 new starters on the offensive line, potentially. You got a lot of guys fighting for reps on the defensive line and a depth of talent there that will be intense. And I think that's true just really everywhere you go on the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, I think, again, something to monitor as we get through practice and we have these observations pieces that we put on the site, warchant.com, and then we do the videos around it, is that when we say that somebody's making a play now or has a good moment, it is more likely because that player did something really positive against a good opponent. That's the thing it's almost, it's very difficult to communicate, almost impossible to communicate is, like, we're watching 11 on 11 now, and they have the extended work they did the first day of full pads and the IPF. Like, there's the video board, and you can see the replay 3 or 4 times, and you're like, wow, that guy over there did a great job on the blocking of the backside. That dude ran a great route. He was open, but clearly he wasn't the first place that Jordan Travis was looking. And then this guy came up, made an excellent play to stop the run from going 4 or 5 yards. Instead, it was stopped for a gain of 2. So you're picking out in a given play 3 or 4 players, often you're doing this, that are not only completing their assignment, they're doing something good against an opponent who was right where they're supposed to be. So it's very hard to communicate that in a verbal piece or without you seeing it with your own eyes, that now achievement is not by default because the other side of the football doesn't have players. Achievement is because competition is high on both sides and guys are making notable plays. And I think that also extends to the offensive and the defensive lines. If you read that Darrell Jackson, as you did after the first day of full pads, is just unbelievably dominant for that day, it doesn't mean that necessarily we're awful at center or guard. It just means that look at that guy. Look at that guy and look what he's doing. The offense will have to come back and make some adjustments, and we'll see. But that's something that across the board, whether it's, the talk about safeties against receivers or slot targets or some of the tight ends, and then also in the trenches as well, it's just that the competition is making this product that we watched for 2 hours riveting, where there were notable moments, and it was great to have the access in the past. This is just good stuff. I can't wait to see it this week.
Yeah, the gauge changes day-to-day of practice because of the elevation of talent and depth of it, and also expectation.
Yeah.
I've repeated myself a bunch because sometimes we get new listeners or people miss it in a segment, and I don't want to presume that everybody heard something I said before. But to your point, Tom, like, I gauge now the progress very differently than I did prior to the winning season. Prior to the winning season, I was gauging whether or not the collective group of players and athletes were good enough to have a winning season.
Yep.
So, when you're not having one of those winning seasons, all you long for is a winning season. When you've had a winning season, well, that begets what? More winning, you hope. You want to move on to bigger and better things, and you want to be able to achieve greatness and continue to strive and, as they say, climb towards the ultimate goal, which would be to win a national championship. And so every day, you're right. All of a sudden, you're looking at a guy making plays. Well, he's making plays against a guy who's a pretty good talent, a plus level player in this league, and maybe even a plus level player when it comes to the national collective of talent in certain spots. But also against the expectation of last year's 10-3 season, as it turned out to be, and what could be this year. So you really do kind of shift and say now, all right, are they better than last year's 10-3 team? Well, they better be, because the expectation is that they will be, and we think they're set up to be. There's no reason. I don't think it's an unfair expectation. The schedule is beneficial. You do have 2 to 3 really tough games, 2 for sure. I'm certain somebody else will emerge as a tough game. I don't know why, but I continue to fall back on that road Pitt game late in the year, seemingly kind of a tough contest. But the other 2 we know are the first game against LSU, and the next big one is just a few weeks later, against Clemson on the road. And I imagine game day will be there, and that'll be a big to-do and a fight for regular season supremacy. Now, if you lose it, you're still probably going to play them again in the ACC championship game, because there are no more divisions, as you guys recall. So you got to make sure you take care of business. But every day I go out there, it's not just, hey, he beat a guy who I think can be an all-ACC player, but not only did he beat that guy, what is he compared to Georgia's offensive lineman or Georgia's defensive lineman? What is he as a defensive back? Is that a guy that would start at Alabama? Is that a guy that would start or have a chance to play? Certainly be in the rotation for Georgia. That's how I'm starting to look at this roster now, whether it's roster retention, roster building, whether it be transfer portal, whatever it might be. Recruiting, when I look at now, and you guys know, if you've listened to me for a long time, that while I get recruiting is the lifeblood of every program, I'm not what you would call a recruit Nick. We have people on staff who do that. I defer to them, but I do take a cursory glance every time there's a list of kids coming in, and I want to see the caliber, the consensus caliber of that player, the way he's thought of by those services. Doesn't mean they're accurate, but it does give you a pretty good idea of where somebody ranks, where somebody fits in the big scheme of things. Are they a top 10 player in the state? Are they a top 5 player at their position? Are they a top 300 player in the nation? And how many of those guys are visiting? So I do it right from recruiting through the depth chart battles, Tom, at practice every day that we're going to see again this week, all the way through our projections for what's possible for this team to, maybe to win a championship or go to a college football playoff.
Yeah, Jeremy, certainly, I see you in the chat. Certainly Miami is garbage again this year. That would be the expectation. The guys that I'm looking forward to seeing this week in camp are some of the transfers in the trenches. Like Darrell Jackson aside, I'm not talking about him. I'm talking on the offensive line. Jeremiah Byers showed a lot of good stuff in week 1, and then certainly day 1 of pads. But there were times when you could tell he was thinking, oh, man, I'm going against a different caliber of defensive lineman, and there was a lesson to be learned on the rep. When you go through that, you have a week to reflect. This is a primetime year for you as you're a veteran. I look forward to seeing how he bounces back. Casey Roddick, much the same way. Roddick is going to be assigned Darrell Jackson and Joshua Farmer and Lovett and others.
That's a toughie.
That is a lot of hard work that he's going to be looking at over the next few consecutive weeks as they go full pads day after day against each other. I want to see how he bounces back. But I will tell you also that a returner, like a guy who's been on the roster, was a high school recruit, that I just love watching each day is Julian Armella, because the defensive line talks way more than the offensive line, talks more trash, gets in the face of the guys across the line of scrimmage. Armella is the exception. He is much like a defensive lineman, where he doesn't take anything from anybody, and it's just really, really entertaining to watch an offensive lineman wearing the helmet of Florida State University have that type of nastiness that we haven't seen here in a long time, and he does it each day.
Yeah, and it's funny, when you bring him up, I start thinking about all the layers of competition where it can get testing, where it's going to get ugly like that, where the exchange is going to happen, where there's going to be some pushing and shoving. We're going to see a lot of it. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio and War Chant TV.
Jim, owner of Jim Mazda of Tallahassee, serving North Florida and South Georgia for over 20 years. And I'm happy to announce that things are finally back to normal at Jim Mazda. Our lot is loaded with brand new Mazdas for the first time in 2 years. So if you've been waiting for the price and selection of new cars to return to normal, the wait is over at Jim Mazda, where we've always provided our customers with the highest quality of service and care. You know Mazda's reputation for efficient, dependable, and affordable vehicles, but you simply must experience the luxurious new lineup of 2023 Mazdas in stock now at Jim Mazda of Tallahassee. Get adventurous and connect with nature in a brand new 23 Mazda CX-50 with all-wheel drive. But hurry in while the value of your trade is still high. At Jim Mazda, we take our slogan seriously. No games, no gimmicks, just a gem of a deal. Jim Mazda of Tallahassee, Capitol Circle Northwest, just up from West Tennessee Street, and always open at jimmazda.com.
Hey everybody, the perfect fireplace makes your house a home. How's your fireplace looking? Not too well? Hearth and Patio can help you with that. Actually, Hearth and Patio can help you with anything fire. Give my friends a call at Hearth and Patio. If you need new fireplace upgrade, fireplace repair, you need custom outdoor kitchen, grills, or an amazing fireplace for your backyard. 850-727-4282. That's 850-727-4282. Or you can visit them online at hearthpatiotallahassee.com. Hearth Patio Tallahassee. They keep the home fires burning.
Hi, this is Jamie McClenny from Trek Financial in Tallahassee. Managing downside risk in your portfolio is one of the biggest challenges that you'll face in retirement. Trillions of dollars in stimulus from the Federal Reserve and D.C. politicians, combined with zero interest rates, have propped up financial markets since the financial crisis ended in 2009. The Fed recently ended quantitative easing and has started to raise interest rates at a time when the global economy was already slowing. Have you considered what another 50% correction in the stock market would do to your retirement plan? If you're concerned about where this all might be headed and would like to find out about the potential benefits of an active risk management strategy for your portfolio, give me a call at 850-900-5200 and schedule a time for a review of your portfolio from an active risk management perspective.
Make Jamie your first call for a second opinion. Investment advisory services are offered through Trek Financial, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus, happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of thewarchant.com.
Because it's ugly right now. It's been a hodgepodge of injuries, poor defense, and the team right now that just doesn't have a depth of pitching. Florida State loses the series to Boston College. I still like this team. I don't like how they struggle to make fairly routine plays. I think is a better way of describing that. It's one thing when you see the 4 errors, but you know what gets lost in those sloppy games, which are sometimes represented in that column, but not always. And it's the not always that has bothered me this year. You know, in college baseball, this is not a shot. I understand coaches do this, and you know they make their feelings known. But in college baseball, the hometown scorekeeper does his damnedest to avoid writing down an error. I mean, if there's any way to attribute it to something else, they do. And so when you see games sometimes with Florida State where they'll have 2 errors or 3 errors, it's 7. It's 7. They somehow wrote in FC. Like, really? Fielder's choice on that one, huh? So there are these moments where you're just like, ooh, that was a 3-error game that could have been a 10-error game. But all right, I know. That's trouble. BC, by the way, Noel, that is good this year. Go look it up. They're actually good. I mean, record-wise and everything else. They've got pitchers, etc. But yeah, man, I'm frustrated by some guys have had to play out of positions, and that's hurt. Other guys got dinged right off the bat. They haven't been right since. But that's no excuses. I mean, this is going to take some time. They don't have the requisite arms, but they've got a guy or two that you feel good about in every plate appearance. Also, just for good old time's sake, because I know Tom will appreciate this. I just don't know why it's hard to find a good collegiate umpire. So yesterday, Link gets run, and he had to get run. He had to get run. I would have been run long before he got run. I was glad to see that he got run. A sweeping curveball from the left side, which was called strike 3 against Florida State, but was way inside and high, was then thrown by one of our own on a 2-strike pitch with the bases loaded that he called a ball, and I knew instantly, here it comes, you're going to hear an interruption, and it's what happened. He was out immediately because you can't watch that time and again, but more than the injustice of the moment, you do have to wonder, are these guys not paid at all? Do they not give any of, and I'm sorry if you're a collegiate umpire, are you under some mandate because they're college pitchers that you give 4 inches away, 4 inches in, 4 inches up? You can't give them all. It can't be all. I'll go with up, but not low. I'll go with away, but not in. I'll go with in, but not away. You've got to pick one, man. If you want to expand the plate or we're going to be here for too long, I got it. It can't be all of it. And too often it's all of it. It was all of it again over the weekend, especially yesterday. Now they lost. I'm sorry, Tom. They lost because they weren't any good yesterday. But good God, man.
You know, the answer to this one's simple, and you put it on a tee for me, buddy. You just make the plate 10% larger in order to account for the college game, and then you slap a little robot right behind it. You got yourself a college umpire that you and I can get behind because the facts are the facts. But I agree. You would have to concede, especially in some of these midweek games, pitched by us, not just other teams, but pitched by us.
Yeah.
You got to have some leeway there. This is not the major leagues. That's why we don't have wooden bats. Other than the cost of them, there's another reason for that too. They want the ball to go over the fence. Understood. Widen the plate, maybe a 1/4 of an inch, something small. Set up a robot umpire, and you got yourself exactly what you want, which is these guys, who there are only a few of them anyway. They don't have a 4-person staff. They can make more calls along the base paths, and then we're in a much better position. But regardless, I just don't expect to win midweek games as much anymore this year. You hope you're going to win 2 out of 3 most of the time in your weekend series because we don't have the depth. We don't have the depth pitching-wise, especially if you're trying to handle 2 midweek games.
Well, and you end up pushing Wyatt back, with his situation. You're really putting yourself in a bind there when arguably the guy with the best stuff doesn't get to go. I'll live with it. I don't freak out over series wins or losses until a little bit later in the season. But it's frustrating. I'd like them to get healthy, and I'd like the umpires to not suck unequivocally every weekend. Hour number 2 forthcoming.
Show live and local on Real Talk 93.3 WVFT, Gretna, Tallahassee. The latest betting odds and line movements from Vegas. This is your action update. Now here are your latest lines from our guys in the desert.
3 Southeastern Conference teams in the Sweet 16 on Thursday. Tennessee laying 5.5 against Florida Atlantic. The total 131 at Madison Square Garden. Also Thursday, Arkansas, 3.5-point dog against UConn. 139.5 the total at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. And Friday in Louisville, it's Alabama laying 7 against San Diego State. Miami Hurricanes advance to the Sweet 16. They knock off the Indiana Hoosiers. They're a 7-point dog against Miami on Friday at the T-Mobile Center in Kansas City, Missouri. The total there, 138. Sign up now for your free VSiN subscription at vsin.com/subscribe. For more sports betting news and information, go to vsin.com. Mike Sennett, Real Talk 93.3.
And now another no-brainer money-saving tip from Progressive.
Looks like your luggage is over 50 pounds. Is there anything you can take out?
Oh, yeah. Let me just toss all these $20 bills.
Great. Let me grab your trash can.
Stop. Instead of throwing money away, move some clothes into a carry-on. And here's a better tip from Progressive on how not to waste money. Don't pay too much for car insurance. Drivers who switch and save could save hundreds. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Potential savings will vary.
Wouldn't you say it's time for a beauty refresh? Lucky for you, Ulta Beauty's 21 Days of Beauty is happening now. So treat yourself with up to 50% off bestsellers like Benefit Cosmetics and MAC Cosmetics. And say hello to new product launches from Fenty Beauty by Rihanna, Tarte Cosmetics, and so many more. That new you feeling is waiting at Ulta Beauty. But hurry, Beauty's biggest event ends April 1st. Shop in-store, online, or try curbside pickup today. Ulta Beauty, the possibilities are beautiful.
If you're hearing this right now and you or someone you know is active military, a veteran, police officer, firefighter, nurse, or a teacher, turn up the volume and listen to this. My friend Shannon with Legendary Home Loans has a hometown hero loan program designed to make a difference to those who make a difference. When it's time to buy a new home, he will waive all lender fees for all hometown heroes. That's a $1,600 value right out of the gate. Also, if you decide to use their preferred title company for their closing, you'll be saving another $600. That's $2,200 in discounts right off the top. That's like 20 tanks of gas in your car. And today, more than ever, it's important to save as much money as you can, wherever you can. So if you or someone you know is active military, veteran, police officer, firefighter, nurse, or a school teacher and looking to buy a new home, choose Shannon Young, Legendary Home Loans, and ask about their Hometown Heroes program. Call 844-FSU-LOAN or just visit FSUHomeLoans.com. That's FSUHomeLoans.com.
Equal housing lender. NMLS number 2270146.
Hey, no fans. Our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Broadcasting live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Or at least I will. On Twitter, it's at Jay Cameron Show. Tom from the house today. Director Matthew here in person. Soon, Tom, soon. Why don't we do some updating, shall we? We got updating to do, but, I mean, we've got a draft party to consider here soon enough. Not that far away. Golf tournament and the goodness therein. I had a chance to play with our good friend Andy from Orange Theory Fitness at the end of last week over at Capital City Country Club, where the JCS War Chant golf tournament will take place. The course was in terrific shape. We had a great time. Put me further in the mood to do some more golfing as the days get longer and the weather gets, nicer. So I'm all in. What do we got on that front?
So I can tell you a couple of things. Number one, we can put up the link here in the chat in a second, but there is one team remaining for the golf tournament. One team remaining.
One.
That's right. JCS War Chant Invitational, benefiting the second harvest of the Big Bend. It's Friday, April 14th. For those of you that maybe took a break before spring break even started, now you're back with us. That's something to note. We will put the link in the chat today for you. If you want to be the final team to join us, we would very much appreciate you supporting the second harvest. It's going to be a great time at Capital City Country Club on Friday, April the 14th at 9 a.m. And then also something fun going down at the CP next Thursday. Next Thursday, March the 30th.
Not this upcoming Thursday, but the following Thursday.
The 30th of March. The 30th of March. What could that be?
Opening day, baby. Let's go. Hot dogs, brews, baseball.
At incredible savings as well. The rates that Bill at the Corner Pocket puts together for the beers, the hot dogs, and sometimes he does the apple pies. It depends. We'll see if he breaks those out this year. But we're going to do the show live from 1 to 3. Live from 1 to 3, the show on site at CP. And then I think that's very nicely done on our part because our two teams kick off first pitch of the season in the 4 p.m. hour. So we'll be hanging out, watching baseball opening day next Thursday, March the 30th.
Do you remember the year that we did this and I put the slice of cheese on the apple pie?
Kind of, yeah.
It was a big to-do. You ever get just a slice of nice cheddar on an apple pie? It's delicious, Tom. You got to heat it up a little bit. It's delicious.
That may cost extra, perhaps a whole 50 cents from the Corner Pocket. We shall see.
I'm not asking them to do it. I'm just letting you know out there that if you're going to embrace all of opening day, you got to get you piece of apple pie with a slice of cheese, go with some dogs. You know, my son is in New York City today. He was in New York City yesterday and the day before that, Tom, and he got a hot dog from one of the vendors on the side of the road, as I told him to do for sure, and he reported back that it was delicious from what he could tell because his mouth was frozen. He said it's cold.
It was cold up there last week, but I will say towards the end of the week it got to around 50, which for there is balmy and April-like conditions. But those are known as dirty water dogs. Water dogs, and they are delightful.
They are delightful. So he partook, and that's a good thing. I do several dirty water dogs for opening day on baseball, and sit back and enjoy. It's a way of ushering in a 100-loss season. All right, here we go. Let's embark on a 100-loss season, Pittsburgh. What do you say we do it again? That's right. It's okay. It's all right. But I get to flip around. I get to watch the other teams, see the other people who play real baseball and invest in their team and attempt to do, things like win. It's okay. It's good. But we will do that on opening day. One team left in the golf tournament. Let's get it on. And there you go. The eventcreate.com/e/JCS Golf 2023. Just go find the link and copy and paste that sucker and get on in here. You got one team. That's a team of 4. Let's go. Ready to get it on. And between opening day, the spring game, our tournament the day before the spring game, spring practices, this is a joyous time of year. And so far, so good for Florida State. The news is good. It's been particularly good when it comes to those that have visited and the caliber of player that have visited. I think Florida State is, we talk about looking on up and things going really well. I think things are going to continue to go in that direction. I talked to somebody today, let's put it that way, that would maybe be in the know. And they're talking about the role that they play and their efforts to ensure that Florida State takes a step up and does well. in recruiting, Tom, and I think that that's going to continue to further brighten the mood of Florida State fans everywhere. I thought of you. I did not get a chance to text you because I know you'll be angry about it, but the celebration injury to your closer in the World Baseball Classic, well, frustrating, I'm sure. You can't pit on the World Baseball Classic.
No, and I can't pit on him necessarily. He's the one that gets mobbed. He didn't do anything crazy. So it's just there are many times, usually at least once a year, where you say only the bleeping Mets. And we got it out of the way in March. Hopefully there isn't something like winning 101 games and losing on a tiebreaker because you can't beat the Braves once that colors September of this season. But I saw a tweet. We were mentioning a tweet that said, it's your guys' fault for mentioning the Kendrys Morales story on the show before we went on spring break. And I was like, what's he talking about? That can't be good.
You didn't know it. You didn't know. You weren't watching.
No.
You weren't locked into the WBC. I've been locked in. Matthew and I wrote back and forth when we had the grand slam the other night against Venezuela, the get you some Venezuela moment to make it 9-7 and silence those fans. It was glorious. And then, of course, the beatdown we laid on Cuba last night. Woo!
0-2 pitch, the Venezuela game. 0-2. What are you doing?
0-2 bell tie. I jumped off my seat. I was like, no! I knew that was – I mean, you knew that ball was going to be pissed on. And it was gloriously. Wave it. Into the finals we go. Let's claim another WBC. It has been very good. And I know some people get upset when guys get hurt, but if it's Jose Altuve getting hurt, you should celebrate, which I did again.
I do want to take a look and see if I can't live the Japanese pitcher tonight. The dude throws 102.
Averages 100 on his fastball. Averages.
And he's only 21 years old, and he's going to be available for bidding next year in the MLB. So I want to get a good look at this guy, get a real sense of what he can do besides the old 102 down the middle, which is probably all he needs.
Well, in the modern game, it's kind of crazy, but hitters have figured out 102 if it's straight. If it doesn't have late life, they can hit it. I wonder when it is that they're going to be able to stop hitting fastballs. Like, what's the MPH? 104? Where do we got to get to? It's insane.
That's where this guy's going. He's at 102 at 21 years old. As long as somebody's arm is going to come out of the socket and just start flipping towards the plate at some point because we keep going and going and pushing this thing. But this dude's only 21 years old and he's hitting those numbers. I can't wait to see 3-4 years after his inevitable Tommy John surgery, what he does when he comes back.
Somebody asked about it during the break and I'll answer it here. And I answered it on Twitter. So the signing of Baker Mayfield assured what I wanted, which was a 3-14, 2-15 campaign. And it'll be mildly entertaining. And, that's all you can do. Ensure a top 2 pick, because you don't have to have Caleb Williams. It'd be nice, but you do have to have him or May. So it's one of those two. That's all you got to do, be in those top 2. I think the Bucs are going out of their way to ensure that they – if that's your look, if you're going to roll out there with Baker and Trask as your guys, there's a good chance you win 2, no more than 2 games, right? 3 at the most?
Over under 3.5 losses for Mac Brown and May this year in Chapel Hill. What do you think?
Despite having arguably the best quarterback in the country?
Yeah.
3.5 losses. Probably over.
Probably.
He finds a way, doesn't he?
He does.
He's
like life. He is like life, Mac Brown. He just finds a way.
All right, I want to do this. One position that starting tomorrow I'm going to pay closer attention to because I think maybe more than any other besides the line of scrimmage, which we continue to celebrate and get excited about, and for good reason, and we will forever mention it. It will never grow old so long as I'm able to talk about how good this offensive line looks. But perhaps the deepest and most talented and interesting competition, Tom, is going to take place at a position that we didn't talk about because of the assumption of depth and health. But now I do find fascinating. Who is the backup behind Trey Benson? There's 5 dudes, 4 legit dudes behind Trey Benson with another one coming in. That is going to be fascinating because I can't help but believe whoever emerges, let's say, as a top 4 in the rotation, right? They'll all be used different ways. Like Toafili's not used the way that some of the other backs are used. Who's ever outside of that top 4, unless you're a freshman, I guess. I mean, you gotta figure that they're transfer candidates. I don't know how they couldn't be. And that is going to be a fierce battle because they're all good. They're all good. Like, sometimes it's depressing to watch position battles because the level of ineptitude is spread out evenly. So you're watching, he sucks, and so does he, but he sucks too. What about that guy? Well, he sucks as well. Which of these sorry asses will emerge from this suck fest? Yeah, sometimes you watch that, and it's disappointing. That's not the case here. What you watch now with those guys, you're like, he's really good. That guy's elite. That's an NFL player. He's playing here. Okay, what about this guy, this guy, and this guy? All right, well, after that, you got these other 2 dudes, and they can play. It's fascinating to me. I wonder how physical they'll let them be.
Well, if they do let them play physically, that's advantage Keziah Holmes because he is not afraid to lower the shoulder and just drive backwards. Now, Rodney Hill, who everybody knows I love, has the kind of speed where he can reset and calculate what's happening in front of him before he makes a decision. He has that kind of shiftiness and that ability to go from 0 to 60 to where it's almost like he looks like those memes of like Winona Ryder, who was on this, the stage where she won the award, and he's just doing these calculations in the vectors. Dalvin had that in a way that I don't know that we'll ever see at Florida State again. That was unbelievable, the way he could set things up, because he already knew he was going to make the guy in front of him miss. It was about juking the guy 15 yards down the field. But Rodney has that shiftiness to him, and he's a little bit more physical than you think. But Keziah is just straight ahead, so it makes me wonder what pairs with Trey Benson's style better. Is it the straight ahead guy? Because Trayshawn's style was perfect for the bowl game against Oklahoma. Trey Benson was a little bit more timid. The position coach, David Johnson's already talked to Trey Benson about, here's all the hundreds of yards that you've lost by not just making a simple decision.
And
one
go.
Of those was costly against Clemson. He's going to score if he doesn't cut back the opposite way. And I think that ends up being the sacked fumble on that drive a little bit later. But who is going to complement him better? It's not necessarily who is the next best running back. It's just who fits that nicely. And then the other thing to consider is with Jaheim Bell and his ability to block, are you only going to have one running back out there more often than we've had in past years? We love the 2 running back sets, but Jaheim Bell is an H-back tight end. We understand that. But is he your best lead blocker? Because if that's the case, then there are even less snaps to be had on the field due to the personnel that we're going to roll out there.
Yeah, I bet he's not. I'm going to bet he's not your best lead blocker. I don't think he will be. And I don't think they're going to use him in that way either. I don't think that you want the wear and tear on his body to be used in that fashion. I think it'll be more as a receiver, an occasional, change up as a runner because he's a big dude. But, you got a big dude in Trey Benson. If you want to run and play bully ball that way, you could do that with Trey Benson and go heavy or unbalanced and go that route. So I don't – it'll be interesting to see. You're right, and I don't know how they're going to want to use it because they have an abundance of riches, and that is a great problem to have, is trying to juggle all the talent and properly utilize it. We have not been in that place in a long time, but that's where they're at. And they're at running back in particular. We've ignored it a lot. I don't know that we've ignored it. I don't mean to, I guess I shouldn't phrase it that way. We've just assumed like they're deep and they're talented, so I'm not really worried about it. We tend to hyper-focus, rightfully so, on the areas where there's not enough. Yeah. So I tend to look at linebacker over and over and over again. I look at linebacker every time we have a conversation. I say, who's behind that guy? What do we do here? What if this guy gets hurt? Knock on wood, none of that happens because they're thin there. And running back, you're like, well, it doesn't really matter because that guy can play and that guy can play and that guy can play. But I am fascinated by the true competition of it all because somebody's going to leave here.
Well, and the other part of that is you feel full confidence in the coaching staff to scheme up opportunities where you've out-leveraged the other side and you've got a home run opportunity. It goes for 40-plus yards. We saw that with no offensive line. We saw that with some weeks good, some weeks bad offensive line. Now what will you see with this group? And the other question you could raise off of that is, you know how they talk about defensive interior and defensive ends, and you could go 100% for fewer reps because you have the depth.
Yeah.
Is that maybe the approach at running back? If you hesitate, you're coming off the field. You're going to be fresh because you're going to be, by nature, we have so many guys. We don't need you for 30 30 totes. We don't need you for 18. We need the 12 best touches you can give us.
Yeah, it's so funny with running back. Over the years, the philosophy has shifted. We know that most teams employ a two-back system, and not just because they want a change of speed and all that. They just know the wear and tear on running backs is brutal. Used to be your feature back, as they called it, wouldn't really even start to cook until he got 18, 19, 20 carries. He felt like he needed more, not less touches. I don't know that the mindset is that way anymore for the kids that are coming up, the way it was back in the day, because they emulated the Emmitt Smiths of the world and, guys, Walter Paytons of the world who carried the ball 20, 25 times bare minimum. They don't do that anymore. Most guys know it prolongs their future and they can have a better NFL career if they aren't tagged with so many carries. But with this group, you do wonder, what if I'm out there and I got 8 yards on first down, I got 6 on second, the next run, and then from there I'm stockpiling. I got to come out now because we got to make sure we satiate the appetite of the other 4 guys that are in the rotation. They won't look at it that way. But if you try to divvy it up drive for drive or skill set for skill set, you're just going to have a hard time to get enough touches for all these guys. You just really are. I think they're going to struggle with that. And again, it's a good problem. It's like having too many talented wide receivers who want the football. It's like, okay, well, we got too many guys and somebody's going to be angry. Well, what do you want me to do?
Yeah, that's the grand question. I agree with you, and this is my number one concern. I don't know that I've used this word yet, but rhythm. We talk about guys getting into a rhythm. Do you have such a panoply of receivers and tight ends and running backs that you're sacrificing rhythm because you want to get everybody out there and keep them fresh? That's one of those grand questions and philosophy questions that Coach Norvell and the offensive staff are just going to have an answer for before the season starts. For now, spread the wealth across practice and see who stands out. But ideally, when it becomes about winning and losing a game that's very, very important, and let's say that there are 30 carries to be had in that game for Florida State in the backfield, how many does Trey Benson get? Is it 24? Is it 18? And that the trickle-down effect of that is very important, and it also will speak to Mike Norvell's philosophy on guys getting in rhythm. Like, for example, last year, Trayshawn Ward in 10 games had 95 carries. Most of those games, he was a starter. Most of those games, Trey Benson, 154 and 13. It's a backloaded group, but that's clearly somewhere between 15 and 20. It'll be fascinating because they've never had the cupboard quite this full before.
Yeah, you can go 12, 12, 12, 12 if you want. Like if you decided to go crazy and run. Well, against some of these teams that aren't going to be able to stand up against the run, and you just wear people down and run the hell out of everybody you got in there. Well, even then you wouldn't get everybody. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, War Chant TV.
This is Kyle, service manager from Barron.
What's up, guys? Our next partner that you're going to hear from is Athletic Greens. You've heard me talk about Athletic Greens in the past. Happy to talk about them again. I take Athletic Greens every day, and I gave them a try because certainly I wanted more energy, sustained energy. I wanted to support my immune system. I don't like taking pills and vitamins per se, and I wanted something that tasted good too. And the first time I tried it, I was very surprised. It had an appreciable effect on my energy levels. And also, over time, you'll note that it helps your skin, your hair, your nails. I don't have a lot of hair, but if I did, I bet I could feel that. I bet I could tell. It's a comprehensive health habit, and it is a powerful one at that. AG1 is great for recovery. That's Athletic Greens. And I take mine basically when I wake up every morning. I don't have to worry about it because you get all the nutrients that you want. It's the best way to ensure that you're going to get all of your vitamins. It's a carbon neutral business, by the way, if that's important to you. It is to a lot of people, and that's good to know as well. I would also note that it is a comprehensive solution to what you need from a supplement routine. Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs right now with your first purchase. Go to athleticgreens.com/JCS. Helps me out, guys, if you use that. Not financially, but it lets them know that you heard this ad on my show. And I do take it, and I am vouching for them because I enjoy their product. It's athleticgreens.com/JCS. Check it out. I think you'll note the difference in your life with a simple drink each and every morning to start your day. athleticgreens.com/JCS.
You want. Come shop our huge 12,000 square foot showroom and save today. There's over 50 hot tubs in stock right now, so you won't have to wait weeks on end for that delivery to finally come to town. If you're ready to relax, we're here to show you how. Pinch a Penny Pool, Patios, and Spas. Come visit our huge showroom at 2473 Greer Road with over 50 hot tubs to choose from. You'll be glad you did.
A cup of Joe, Java, Brew, Go-Go Beans, Brainwater, Liquid Lightning, Wakey Juice, whatever you call your cup of coffee, you're missing out if it's not Grassroots Coffee. At grassrootscoffee.com, you'll find an easy way to order the best roasted coffee beans available. It's very simple. Choose the blend you want and how you want it ground, and the bag you receive will have the date your beans were roasted and packaged on it, all written by hand and signed by the roast master himself. You'll know that's as fresh as it gets. You can get Grassroots outside of your house also at some of your favorite restaurants in town. Next time you're out to eat, try asking for Grassroots Coffee by name, because there's a good chance they will have it for you. And if you own a business, Grassroots Coffee has options to stock your break rooms with all the productivity powder your team needs. Just like some other options that you'll find at work, Grassroots Coffee actually is a part of our community. Get to grassrootscoffee.com today and get yourself a treat. Some locally owned, locally roasted, and locally loved Grassroots Coffee.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Welcome back to the Jeff Cameron Show, sponsored by Legendary Home Loans, a mortgage experience designed around speed, simplicity.
I shouldn't be on mute. I'm not on mute, am I? No, I'm on mute. Yeah, it happens when we have music in the background, Momo. We have to do it because we get dinged copyright while the bumper music for the radio show plays. So that's how this works. If you don't know. Well, I'm not going to go over 2. If you're running to that level, to that extent, or if you're passing that freely, you're probably not going to abandon too much. I mean, I guess, I get the argument you're making is that if you're blowing people out and you get into the second half and you've already worn somebody out in the first half and you're up 28 and you got your backups in and you want to shorten the game, run the clock, run the football, you could do it. And the schedule is really, kind of right up there. It's understandable where you might look at it that way. As far as Life Spectator's question about the glasses, this is the sad truth of where I'm at. People on the radio can't hear this. I don't know. I'm having to wear these. I don't have to wear them. I'm wearing them to read my show notes and the chat when we're interactive and I'm getting questions. I have to do this now. Here's the deal. So you'll see the logo, the Jeff Cameron Show logo, has me bespectacled. That's the way I went. I refused for the longest to go out and get glasses. I mean, to go out and get contacts because I wouldn't wear contacts. Then I learned how to do it because largely I couldn't work out or play golf or whatever with glasses on. So I got this is getting old. This is hell. Listen to this, Matthew. This is what awaits you, buddy. So I got contacts. I finally learned how to put them in. I got good at it. I don't even think about it anymore. Boom, 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 put them in. My eye doesn't flutter, any of that stuff. Haven't had to wear the glasses the last 2 years, really 2.5 years. Every now and then I did. Your eyes get tired. You take the contacts out. You go home. Maybe you're reading a book or something like that. You throw in your glasses. Well, here's the deal. So obviously the contacts are prescription. So I just assumed I was never going to need glasses again unless I wanted to wear them to give my eyes a rest. Now, so a buddy of mine says, oh, no, you'll see. You're going to have to start wearing readers with your contacts. I was like, well, that defeats the point. I don't want to. And I think it was about a month ago, I was reading notes. So I type out my show notes. I've got all these things here I'm reading, and I couldn't read a paragraph. And then I think in the last 2 weeks, I couldn't read like newspaper writing. I couldn't read like whatever my setting was on the internet. I couldn't even read that. It's going to hell in a handbasket. I've fallen off a cliff. And I was somewhere, I think it was at a CVS, and I just saw these readers sitting there. I was like, I wonder if I really do have to wear these with my Now I'm wearing both. So I grabbed these gigantic glasses. I don't even care how they look necessarily as much as I just need to be able to read. But it's the whole thing. So now I'm going to have to go back in. I have a feeling I'm destined to have to wear both forever. Ira Schoffel, warchant.com, or as I should say, my friend, Ira Schoffel, warchant.com, joins me as he's wont to do on a Monday. Hello, Ira.
I'm good, Jeff. How you doing, man?
I'm good, brother. I'm good. I'll be with you tonight. Good chance to promo this. We will be together with a Monday Smash, 7 o'clock. Looking forward to it as we get set to see this team back in action tomorrow. Full pads yet again. What are you most looking forward to?
I think, more than anything, just kind of getting back into the routine. It felt like we just got, 3 practices, only one of them in pads, and then, okay, we're going away for a week. So I'm just looking forward to seeing, getting into the routine. They'll be practicing Tuesday, Thursday, and then scrimmage on Saturday, and then you come back from that. So now we get into the real flow of competition day in and day out, and so I'm looking forward to that for a good 3 or 4 weeks going into the spring game.
You and me both, buddy. You and me both. I'm still giddy. I'm still giddy about the fact that we have position battle after position battle and depth of talent. I was just talking at length about the running backs and how we've glossed over the fact that, they have so many talented running backs, you don't really worry about it. But behind Trey Benson, there's going to be a fierce competition.
Oh, yeah, without question. It's funny, I had somebody in the media, national media, asked me what I thought of the spring so far, and I said, transfers are, definitely as good as advertised. And then they said, well, okay, which transfers look good? And I started going through them. And by the end, I had named every single guy. So I'm that guy. Everybody's good. Everybody's great. They're all awesome. But really, I think all of the transfers pretty much meet or exceed your expectations. And that's for a team that we already know is bringing back, 90 to 95% of its production from a year ago. So, again, man, it's just kind of getting through this spring healthy and then just kind of seeing the position battles isn't so much like, is somebody going to step up? But maybe at 1 or 2 positions.
Right.
But it's more just a question of who's going to win that job, because there's 2 or 3 guys that probably can win that job.
Is there an area that we haven't talked about, Ira, where you think there could be a surprise, where somebody that you've thought for a while is kind of under the radar, a talented player, maybe you got a glimpse even during the workouts and on into the first week of spring practice that you thought, nope, they're still upwardly mobile. They're going to challenge for a position and we're not talking about it? Or, I guess where assumptions have been made and they may not be safe assumptions?
A big one, he's not under the radar, but he's also not necessarily a starter that we know of, is Azareye'h Thomas. I'm dying to know what he ends up being in this defense. Because again, I don't know that he's one of the top 2 corners, but I also don't know that he could be not on the field. They played him so much last year as a true freshman, and you look at him now, he's more physically developed. He's going to be smarter because he's been in the system for a full year. And so, where does he line up? Does he play some nickel? Does he get some run at safety or corner? How do they use him? Because, I don't know if he's one of your starting corners, but I also don't know if you can keep him off the field.
Yeah, I'm fascinated as well about the secondary. That's the area that we're going to watch really closely, because now that they've got the pads on, you can see if Finchel Cypress is every bit what he thought he would be. He looked great in shorts running around. He's looked good so far, but there are a lot of open spots and a lot of candidates to fill those open spots. We got questions in the chat about Travis Jay yet again. And when anytime the secondary comes up, Travis Jay is mentioned. And I know you like to laugh about it, but does he play meaningful snaps this year for Florida State?
I think he does. I don't think he starts, though. I mean, I'm really high on Shaheem Brown. I always have been. And now I think he's got the opportunity to really lock down a starting job. And I think Akeem Dent, you know, from what the way Coach Norvell talked about him, the way he kind of turned around late last season and going into the spring and how he handled the tour of duty and all that, I think they have high hopes for him. So I don't know that Travis Jay has a starting opportunity, but I think he can get on the field. He might be the first or second safety off the bench, and he'll definitely play a lot on special teams. And if that's what he does, if he's contributed and successful in that role, then, you know, it's still a success story, because up until this point, it's mostly just kind of been, you know, failed opportunities for Travis Jay.
Are you concerned yet about the baseball team?
Yeah, a little bit, but I'm not 100, not much more than I was earlier. I mean, you know, we knew the arms are going to be an issue. You lost so many of your best arms from a year ago. I think this past weekend was a perfect storm. I mean, BC's good. They're solid. You know, they won a series at Virginia Tech last week, who was number 10 in the country. They're a solid baseball team. And then if you didn't have Wyatt Crowell, you didn't have Cam Smith, you still are trying to get back DMS, the freshman fielder. You're still trying to get back, you know,
your catcher. Yeah.
So, I mean, this was never going to be a team. I didn't expect this team to necessarily be a team that was a top 8 seed or was a favorite to go to Omaha, but they don't even have the team that they thought they were going to have. And so when you get De'Amas Ross back, when you get Holbrook back, when you get Cam Smith back and Wyatt Crowell, get him into a routine, it sounds like, from what Link was saying, you know, Crowell just hadn't pitched and thrown. He hadn't had a 100-pitch outing in a long time. And so it didn't bounce back that quickly, and they didn't want to take any chances. So once they get him into a rhythm, now that changes the complexions of a series. So I still think that they can be much better than they've shown so far. But this weekend was pretty rough for sure.
Frustrating. I think you're right. I haven't panicked any more than I was, but they still struggle to make routine plays, man. And but
how much of that? I mean, I just think that's what they are. You know. Now again, if you get a couple pieces back, that helps. But yeah, I mean, they there's certain things you got to get better personnel. It's not about strategy. Sometimes it's about getting personnel, and I think that's going to take some time.
The old inbounds analogy.
Exactly.
They became wizards at the inbound play when they got better players, but boy, they were incompetent when they couldn't. All right, brother, I'll talk to you tonight at 7 with the Monday Smash. I look forward to it.
Thanks, Jeff. Me too.
All right, brother. Be good. It's Ira Chaffel, warchant.com. Yeah. I mean, and they've also had to play some guys kind of out of position with those injuries, so they'll move guys to a spot that's not their natural spot, and it looks like it's not their natural spot. And that's where I was going back in the last hour talking about there may be 3 errors written down in the box score or 4, but then there are the plays that aren't made. And it's aggravating. It's almost like the arguments you have with friends and loved ones if you sense there's a lie of omission. That's not a direct lie, but are we not incorporating the whole story here of how this happened? This feels like there's some lies of omission going on. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, War Chant TV.
Your local news now.
Police announced Friday they believe the 18-year-old accused of smashing a car into a Walmart in Thomasville, Georgia, purposefully drove into the store and struck pedestrians. Khalil Pugh received more than 10 charges during his first appearance, including malice murder, felony murder, homicide by vehicle, and aggravated assault with intent to murder. Pugh held up his middle fingers at the judge after he was denied bond during the Friday hearing. Bailiffs grabbed Pugh and removed him from the courtroom. The trial date for the man accused of orchestrating the murder of FSU law professor Dan Markle has been scheduled for a second time. The new trial date for Markle's former brother-in-law, Charlie Adelson, is now October 23rd, 6 months after initial plans to begin the murder trial in late April. Adelson's defense attorney asked for the delay, arguing his team needed more time to review a mountain of evidence prosecutors planned to present to the jury. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. High of 58 this afternoon. Under mainly clear skies, winds out of the north, 8 to 15 miles per hour. Clear skies tonight, lows dip down to about 35. Mainly sunny skies and calm tomorrow. Highs level off around 71. Dry with temperatures a bit above average Wednesday and Thursday, and highs from the upper 70s to the low 80s. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 54.
We understand how important it is to have transportation you can rely on. So no matter what the road ahead brings, we'll be there, offering you and your family the support that's made Farm Bureau Insurance a trusted name for over 70 years. You deserve more. You deserve a promise. Learn more at ffbic.com.
This is Rusty Hunt with Florida Farm Bureau Insurance. Please call me today at 850-671-FARM. That's 671-FARM.
My man, Eddie.
Jeff, what's happening, dude?
Bears eating people all over the place. I read another article today. It's the third one in the last month of somebody getting mauled to death by a bear.
Man, you know, bears have their own space. You got to let them have that.
You do. You got to stay clear of bears, is what you're saying?
Yes.
I got a question for you. Here you go. If you had to be mauled to death, eaten alive by any animal in the world, which would you choose to eat you alive?
Ooh, I think maybe I'd want, I don't know, longevity time, a mouse.
Just a slow burn.
Slow burn.
This thing just finished the pinky. It's been a month.
I could go to work. I could still do my thing. I could probably live 30 years.
I thought you were going to say great white because it'd be quick, or a grizzly. We went with mouse.
Yeah, mouse.
Okay.
You know?
Mouse it is.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Welcome back to the Jeff Cameron Show, sponsored by Legendary Home Loans, a mortgage experience designed around speed, simplicity, and customer service.
Have incorporated or indoctrinated himself into the rotation amongst corners, and then he hit the freshman wall and kind of faded into not obscurity, but into the backdrop. And then he emerged and got opportunities and played pretty well with those opportunities. But you look at him, you see the length, you see the athleticism. I think he's a smart kid too. So you kind of feel like that's bound to be out on the field. That's just going to have to be out on the field. I agree. He's super talented, and I'd like him to emerge right now so we can get something out of him for the next 2 years. I don't think there aren't too many other obvious candidates that are going to supplant him in some role, right? Whether he's on the outside or he's a nickel corner, but he's going to play. Wouldn't you agree, Tom?
Yeah, the thing I'd say is just in general, one thing that I was hoping to see at the tour of duty in the first week of practice that we did see is the class of high school player, meaning the quality of the high school player is definitely noticeably going up, which is good to see. Because you could talk about A.Z. Thomas and maximizing his career, but seeing KJ Kirkland up close for the first time, I'm a big fan of Quindarius Jones and the length that he brings to the table. At 6'2", 200, he's already larger than A.Z. Thomas, and he should still be going to prom. It's just a matter of, can these guys obviously play the game and play the game well? But the body types that you're looking at now give me hope that we don't have to dip into the portal year in and year out at several position groups. We all want to see linebacker get better. Watching Blake Nicholson as he arrives in the summer and then we get to see him in fall camp will be maybe an eye toward where they're going at that position group. But I do feel that on the offensive line and also at defensive back, we don't need to be as portal dependent in the next few years. You may look for a player or two to help put you over the top, but of late, that has been a position group where it feels like you need to be completely loaded up by the portal itself. And so if AZ could be an answer, that'd be great. But across the board, I just like where a lot of these position groups are going in terms of the guys that we do bring in from high school.
I asked, and other people have too, but you recall I asked Mike Norvell the philosophy moving forward on the portal.
Yep.
And he just kind of did admit it was a year-by-year thing, and that they were going to continue to treat it as a year-by-year thing. But he thought, and he kind of made reference to that, and I think he was trying to basically say without saying it, look, we struggled. We struggled to recruit high school because we didn't have anything to show them. From the day I got here, then we had a pandemic and I couldn't visit and get to know coaches and visit players. And then from there, so that put us behind the 8 ball. Then we had a losing season. And so we didn't have proof of concept. Now we do. And along the way, behind the scenes, we have forged relationships. It's amazing how the doors begin to open when you win football games. All of a sudden, the people that didn't really have the time of day for you to sit down and talk to you, both player and coach, whether that be high school or the player himself, right? All of a sudden, they're kind of more amenable to having you come down to one of their games on a Friday night and show you around and have a good time and have open and honest dialogue, right? Because if you're a good high school coach, you want more doors open, not fewer. You want more opportunities for your kids to get a scholarship and fulfill their dreams. You're not trying to isolate or alienate anybody, so long as that is something that's going to be productive for the kid and maybe work out. So I think if everybody's on the up and up here, once you go 10-3 and you have the proof of concept that is so often alluded to, annoyingly so, admittedly, but now that you have it and you see the successes and you see the dynamic offense and the way that Florida State is kind of a buzz with expectations right now, yeah, I'm not surprised they have more options to fulfill the lineup and the depth of the talent through the high school ranks.
Yeah, and the next step for this coaching staff reputation-wise is to prove that they can develop from the high school ranks and not put an almost ready-made project from the transfer portal over the top. These are different things, and I think Patrick Surtain obviously could go a long way in helping Florida State when it comes to the defensive back room. And I also do want to say they haven't been perfect, even with all the hurdles that were there that were outside of their control when it comes to high school recruiting. It's not like the only reason we haven't succeeded in the high school ranks is because of these outside forces. That's not the case. There is some onus on the staff and miscalculations that they made about kids that they could get or they couldn't get that made us look foolish in a couple of these cycles. But I think they're getting better, and your margin for error is a lot wider when you win 10 games and you've got what's likely to be a top 10 team in the preseason, top 25. You just got to go and cash in on this kind of stuff and then prove that you can develop and take a player to the next level. And that's where, again, this defensive back room, you can start the conversation completely over for just about every one of these players because they do have a new person teaching them technique day in and day out. And we really won't see the fruits of that labor until much closer to the spring game. We're going to see the elements that lead up to the crescendo, but you got 4 straight weeks of Tuesday, Thursdays in which we go to see those practices. It's going to be fascinating to see how they look on April the 10th versus March the 20th or 21st tomorrow.
Yeah, and I think that basically there will be some frustrations at the end of this spring as felt by those who want absolution, who want to know what's happening at this position group and who's the starter and who's fighting for the back. You're just not going to get it because they're going to continue to push them in that competition. You don't necessarily need to have it.
Yeah.
You do need to see progress from everybody. You need to see who's in the fight. You do need to see continued growth in terms of understanding the concepts, understanding what we're asking you to do, understanding technique. But then also, they've spoken a lot about this, and I get it. And I think they're going to see it because competition breeds this. But they've spoken an awful lot about who is willing on a day-to-day basis to get after it, to go. I mean, because now you have to. Now you have to. Now it's not enough for me to have a good day on a Tuesday. I got to have a good day on a Tuesday and a Thursday, and then I got to do it again because the margins, they're very thin right now. It's like in terms of the competition, you got a kid breathing down your neck every time you go out there. So I feel like we're not going to know. They've also said this is the time to teach both fundamentals and scheme. So there'll be a lot of things still open for debate, which is fun for us in the media, fun for us to have the conversation. to be able to say, like, we just don't know. It looks like these three guys. Looks like these two guys.
And it's pressure that's twofold because there's pressure on the depth chart underneath you or ahead of you if you're in the second line of the two deep. And then there's pressure on the other side of the football in a given rep because if you don't do your job right, you're going to look foolish and you're going to be embarrassed for what you weren't able to do. So when you feel the pressure from those two sides, is it the same as game pressure? No, it's not. Can't be. But you learn a little bit more about a player and what you can trust them to do in crunch time. And these are just assessments that we were unable to, they were unable to as a coaching staff make in practice. So everything we see, the quality of all of it is better. It's just a matter of how you handle those details. And then for us as media members, look, I could tell you that if we were watching 11 on 11 and there were some notes that we were taking on the ones or the twos, when the threes came on the field, I mean, you're looking at it, but you're probably circling a couple of things that you just watched to underline and make sure that you know, all right, Malik McLean last year had a really good day, or Kentron had a good day. Then the threes would come out, and there wasn't much to learn because they couldn't block, and Duffy was a true freshman. Now, with all the way through the threes and even some work with the fours, all of those reps can teach you something because any one of those players might be good enough to climb up the ranks, and also they're getting a fair assessment in an 11-on-11 drill. It's just, again, the way we assess what we see every day is different. And I'm glad for the coaching staff that they have a more crystallized idea of who they have and who they don't, so they don't have to guess on a Saturday in September, is this real or is it because we're just bad at this position that he's my best guy in this situation?
I would love to be able to, this is where the only time, if you're breaking down rosters and practices and competition being a national, like somebody shipping you, paying for you to fly around the country, if you worked for a national outlet, if you could pick and choose where you wanted to go, and I'm coming at it from a Florida State angle, so it's completely unfair of this scenario. I would love to leave the late in spring, having collected the data points that we see, you know, hey, they're better here, they're better there. This kid's for real. He's nationally good as opposed to ACC good. This kid's SEC level great as opposed to ACC level great. There is a difference, you know, and on and on and on we go. And let's just go fly into Athens. Let's go fly in, you know, to programs, even like Texas A&M, where they're loaded with talent, and Jimbo has failed to get the most out of them, and really should be a funny year watching the clown show that's going on up there. I'd love to be a fly on the wall for those team meetings. But that said, like, just to gauge the caliber of athlete and how far it goes, how far down the roster it goes. Because I think that's the one thing we just won't know. We know they're better. We know they're better across first string and second string. We know, but we just don't. How close are we to that championship level? And without being able to see other teams practice, you can go back to last year's game film and watch Georgia play. You can watch these teams play. I would like to have that at the end of spring, like compare and contrast on a Monday and a Tuesday.
Well, and that's like it's like anything else. They're setting the stage for that to be the case in the fall. You know, you're not trying to arrive as the best version of yourself by the spring game on April the 15th, but you're trying to lay the foundation for a lot of these younger guys or these transfers that when they hit fall camp, they're going to take off running. Like, for example, I wouldn't be stunned if either Kirkland or Jones, the two defensive backs, are getting some important reps in fall camp where maybe they're tested to see how far they could go. That's why being an early enrollee is important. I think the same of Andrevius Jacobs. I really like that kid.
I like that kid too, yeah.
It's too soon to say for sure that he's going to get important reps. But, man, if you teach the fundamentals of our system over the next month or so, and he has those principles down, and you put him out there on the field in fall camp where he knows where he needs to be assignment-wise, and you let the athleticism take over, that kid could still make plays against the better defensive backs that we have. But he's got to be able to grow, and he's got to be able to show that he can handle those basic principles. So that's what spring's about, is putting these kids in position to take off. And if they do, and let's say beyond the transfers, you've got 3 or 4 freshmen who can rotate in and you're not completely lost, and you're not completely lost as an offense or a defense, that's how you get to that championship caliber depth, because it's not only the vets, but it's the young kids as well that can pitch in and help.
Been a long time since we had this kind of a conversation. Been a long time since we've been able to smile about it and talk about it in a nuanced way, talk about what we are looking to see and how each one of us on the staff, luckily War Chant is a sizable staff, we can all take a different role. I'll go over here. I know you love the trenches. I do too. I'm a little envious of that role. If you're there all the time, I'll be standing next to you because I love watching that, knowing that that's good, warms the heart. Everything else is made possible if that's really good. But, yeah, we get the chance to divvy it up tomorrow. Get a chance to go out there and watch that battle in the secondary, watch the battle at wide receiver. Who's your third and fourth guy that you feel really good about? I mean, obviously, somebody's going to get an opportunity in this camp to make a huge impact, given the fact that you're missing a guy that played a significant role for you last year. And I think that somebody will step up there because they have the kind of talent that can do that.
I think what's fascinating is with these guys, they don't all have a history with Jordan Travis of being connected. And so that's an intangible. It could be Kentron. It could be Winston Wright. It could be Darion Williamson, who, again, it was a small window, but an impressive one. But you have to develop with the quarterback, and you have to have that synergy. Pokey Wilson, let's just say Pokey Wilson had that synergy with Jordan, especially in big games. Last year, that was something that you could count on. I don't know the answer to that. That's the fun data mining we're going to be doing.
Go rest your voice, sir. Relax. Tonight, I will be on the Monday Night Smash there with Ira. Look forward to seeing you guys in the chat. 7 o'clock tonight. Go find it. Hop on. Do all that good stuff. Also, one team left. I think that's all that's left. It may have been signed up for now, but I don't know. Go double check for the golf tournament. We appreciate you as we benefit our friends at Second Harvest. Good job, Director Matthew. Our thanks to Ira. Our thanks to all of you guys. Be well, everybody. We'll talk to you again tomorrow. Peace.